Alright, so we are now going to go over the review sheet for the rational review for number 2. So in number 1, we are just going to simplify. Again, you want to look for keywords in your directions. And in this case, I just want to add these together. So before I can add two fractions, I have to have a common denominator, which means I'm going to multiply each fraction by the opposite denominator. So 7 over x minus 5, I'm going to multiply by x plus 5 over x plus 5. And then 3 over x plus 5, I'm going to multiply by x minus 5 over x minus 5. When I do that, I'm going to have to distribute the 7 to the x and the 5, so it's going to be 7x plus 35 over x plus 5, x minus 5. And then I'm going to distribute my 3 again to the x minus 5 and give 3x minus 15 over x plus 5, x minus 5. Now, my denominator stays the same, so I keep the x plus 5, x minus 5. Now I'm going to combine like terms on top. So 7x plus 3x is 10x. 35 plus negative 15 is positive 20. And again, if I could factor this and get an expression for x plus 5, I would. But I'm not going to do that, so I'm just going to leave my answer like that. For number 2, again, you want to multiply by the opposite denominator, so 4 over 4, you're going to multiply the first fraction, and 6 over 6 is what you're going to multiply the second fraction by. You distribute that 4, so it's going to be 4a minus 8 over 4 times 6 is 24, minus 6 times a and 6 times 7 is 6a minus 42. And again, same denominator of 24. And now I'm going to combine like terms, and I will get that 4a minus 6a is negative 2a. Negative 8 minus negative 42 is actually negative 8 plus 42. So that will be 30 plus 34 over my common denominator of 24. Now if you notice, all of these things are divisible by 2. So if I factor out a 2 from the top, I'll be left with negative a plus 17 over 24. And now I can simplify the 2 and the 24 to 1 and 12. And my final answer is just negative a plus 17 over 12. Number 3, again I need a common denominator. Notice that they already have an x in common, so I just have to multiply by the opposite coefficient, which means 3 over 3 and 2 over 2. If you did multiply by the entire thing, you are just going to have to simplify at the end. So therefore you want to distribute the 3, and you will be left with 6x minus 9 over 6x minus, distribute the 2, 2x plus 16 over 6x. Keep the same denominator of 6x, combine like terms. 6x minus 2x is 4x. Negative 9 minus 16 is negative 25. And now they don't have anything in common, so that is your final answer. Number 4. This one you want to, if you notice that when you refactor these, or if you factor the bottom of this fraction, you're actually going to get an x plus 4. So notice they both have an x plus 4. Now if you started out by multiplying by the opposite denominator, you're just going to have a lot to simplify at the end. You really just have to multiply this fraction by 2 over 2. Okay, you can leave this one alone. So it's going to be 6x over 2 times x plus 4 plus 5x over 2 times x plus 4, and keep the same denominator, and 6x plus 5x is 11x. Nothing to simplify, so that's your answer. Number 5, you want to first factor the bottoms to see if they have any common binomials. So this is a difference of squares, x plus 5 and x minus 5. And then for the other fraction, two numbers that when I multiply I get 5 and add to get 6 are 5 and 1. So notice they both already have an x plus 5, so you don't have to worry about that binomial. However, you do have to multiply this one by x plus 1 over x plus 1. And you do have to multiply this one by x minus 5 over x minus 5. So your common denominator is actually going to be 3 binomials. X plus 1 x plus 5, and x minus 5. Okay? Now your top, again, you're going to distribute that. So 4x plus 4 is your first binomial, plus, distribute the 6 to the x and the minus 5, 6x, and then 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. So you're going to combine like terms on the top. So 4x plus 6x is 10x. 4 minus 30 is negative 26. And then your three binomials, x plus 1, x plus 5, x minus 5. And there's nothing that you could factor this into that will cross out. So that is your final answer, 10x minus 26 over the three binomials. Okay, for the last one, again, you want to do the factoring like we just did in the last one. So you're going to factor the bottom trinomial into n plus 5, n minus 3. Now notice they both already have an n minus 3. So really all you have to do is multiply this one by the n plus 5 over n plus 5. And now you are going to keep the same denominator, n plus 5, n minus 3. Distribute that negative 2 to the n and the 5. So that will give you negative 2n minus 10, and then keep the plus 2n. Combine like terms, negative 2n plus 2n cancel, and you're just left with the negative 10 on top, and the n plus 5 on the bottom, and minus 3 on the bottom. Again, you could FOIL all of these binomials on the bottom, but you really don't have to, so you can just keep them like that and save yourself the work. Okay, this concludes page 1. See the next video for the complex fractions.